some people, some things come out as herbs, which just like the spinach and you know maybe the tea and all these things which you can use, you know. But then you have some things come out as briars and you know, there's a place we had a problem one day when we were traveling and we had to stop at this place, and so when my daughter went inside, I said, let's hang out a little bit outside and look around, you know. And I find there was some history attached to the place. And there was I think I was reading there, and it said that there is a certain tree that used to grow in the place. It said that the thorns that a tree used to grow, they were stronger than nails. If those things you had leather boots, it would bore right through the leather like nothing. They said the nails was, the thorns were so strong that people actually used them as nails in those days. Well, I can't even remember the name of the place, neither can I remember the tree. Okay? But when you say to yourself, if most places have thorns, you know, people gotta have to burn them or cut them through with a hatchet or something, right? But those plants which are no good, even the weeds you might have, right, in your grass, they get the same sunlight, they get the same everything, but they are not profitable. So it's the same way in that bed. Oh, that was what we used to call it, a flower bed. That's what we used to call it. Where you used to put those colors, seeds, or you might even be doing flowers, right? Whatever is the thing that, then when you check it out, they are getting the same, the water that you put there, the same soil, right? Same way you prepare it, right? They're drinking the rain, you don't want too much rain when you plant the seed though. Because what happens, the rain will splatter the earth because it's dry, and then the seed will jump off and you don't know where they might end up, right? So you don't really want a shower of rain when you just do that. Because then it's going to wash over the seed and you don't know where they're going to end up. You see what I'm saying? But you just want like hope that no rain will fall for maybe a few days. Okay? But once you try, they start to grow, it's okay, the rain can fall. Right? The rain can fall because they begin to hold the earth. Right? And they're drinking the sunlight. But at the end of the day, some of them get left behind. And so it will be in eternal life that some people will get left behind. Okay? They have the same opportunity, the same salvation, the same word of God, the same everything. But they're going to get left behind. Right? Because one day we'll have to give account to God. You know? I know that when I wrote in the blog, I was writing about people when you have to go to a funeral where somebody who you know, you have spoken to that person. Not one time, but time and time again about salvation. And that person ignored you. Let me just talk about this for a moment. Because I remember it this week. I remember when you're at work, all manner of discussions come up. And there was a discussion, this guy was saying that he got an invitation to go to a wedding. I think he was supposed to sing there too. And supervisor was telling him that it was possible they could ask him to work for that day. And he said, well, if he got the chance to work that overtime, right, he would cancel the invitation to go to the wedding. And I remember another coworker said, no, you can't do that. That's not a nice thing to do. I mean, your friend invited you to a wedding to celebrate. You should go. He said, and you know what his answer was? And I was stunned. He said, well, you can just send a present. You know, but he said not turning down the opportunity to do that overtime. Unless that means, you know, what happens is that somebody else would get the job to do it. But since it came to him, and don't ask if he didn't get opportunity to do overtime. That even some people were envious about him. I think it even came up in a meeting one time. That the amount of money he was making was ridiculous. Right? And he could not afford to give up one opportunity to go to be with his friend who invited him to a wedding just to celebrate. And I'm saying to him, hey, but hold on, that's a once in a lifetime thing. You can't go back, you can't reverse, go back in time to the wedding. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, you can't. And his friend said, you know, she said, no, that's not nice, you should go. He said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm saying, so what was the deal about sending a present? Do you think a present can replace your presence? I mean, a present, right? A present wrapped in a box, whatever it is, cannot replace your substitute for your presence. They didn't ask for a present. I mean, if you're going, you bring a present anyway, right? So, you know it's two different things, right? But he said, no, we're not doing it. So we just left him caught up with the whole thing about his money, about making money. And I work with some very greedy people, and I'm telling you, very greedy. And I work where sometimes I could take an opportunity to do something, but because I know that I have an extra income and other people working, they don't have it, so I just leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. A friend of mine was telling me how last year during the shutdown thing, there's 2 jobs, and when they opened back the work and things, she said the boss told her, well, you can come back to work now because you're a senior person of staff. And she told the boss, she said, no. She said, I have another job and I have a sure income there, and the other people and staff you have there who when they lost their income, they had nothing. She said, give it to one of them. And I had to say to her, you are somebody after my own heart. I'm telling you, okay? She said, no, I have an income, but I've been getting income all the while, even though we shut down, I was being at home, I still get paid. And people who are not getting paid, right, and they lost their income, she said, give the job to one of them. Later on, when everything gets rolling again, then I can come back. Right? That's compassion. That's it. But I tell you, I work with some people, I'm telling you, man, and I was saying to myself, I think it was just yesterday, it came back to me about that guy. And eventually, he got to a point where he couldn't work. And I told him, you know, I even said to him, I said, I even gave him some advice as what to do for his own health, but he didn't take it. He became so sick that eventually I had to send him home. Then maybe, just maybe, if he wasn't working all those overtime and working all on weekends when other people didn't run down that money, he might have been able to work longer. Might have been at work until today. He's somebody much younger than I am. Right? And I'm able to go to work every day. But I'm just saying to you that I ask, what shall you give in exchange? Because there's going to come a time when you're going to have to meet God. And what was the question? The question is that, what shall I give in return? Because for all that God has given us, what are we going to give Him in return? Okay? Even today there are people going to church, they might be preaching the gospel, just like I am. And yet still, They have not considered what they're going to give to God in return. Because we're going to have to answer to Him. Right? We're going to have to answer to Him. What are we going to say to Him? Right? Now, it's for us to do what we have to do now and make our business set up right now. You know? Because, as I said last month, I had to go to a funeral too. And it was the same thing. This was another one at work, like, it's like, it never turned down any work. And not even I said, well, oh, let somebody else get it, man. I mean, come on. Let somebody else get it. Right? This other one I'm telling you about, much younger than me, and this other one I went to this funeral, still much younger than me. About the same age, I think. About the same age, I told him. No, I think he must have. Anyway, the one I spoke about before is more younger than me, I think, than this one who passed away. But they're much younger than I am. Much younger than I am. I went to this funeral and this guy, little most he could have been my son. Right? Little most he could have been my son. Right? I'm saying to you. But all of this thing about running after the money, right? And I'm saying to yourself that one of them is cut off from God, the other one is cut off too from a job. Right? But the point of the matter is this, that what are you going to say to God? What is your answer you're going to give to God? What are you going to, what are these things doing? What are they doing? Right? What are they doing for you? Because one day you'll have to answer to God. And as I said, when you have to go to a funeral, you know, I've been talking, because I know I spoke to that guy and I told him, I said, when you have a co-worker's funeral, you don't go. I said, but why don't you show up at the funeral? I said, you're afraid, right? I'm dying. But they're gonna become a funeral for you too. Right? And if we don't show up at your funeral, how embarrassed your family would be that we don't show up at your funeral. I'm saying? I had a co-worker, she was so terrible anyway. I would have gone to a funeral anyway, but she didn't back me up and make anybody come to no funeral. I don't know what happened. Because of course, I guess maybe they're not careful about how they live. You know, the Bible said a good name is better than precious ointment. You see? And there's something about ointment. I think this is in Ecclesiastes. When you have an ointment, when you open it, they said that when Mary Magdalene burst the box of alabaster, and the whole house was filled with the oil of it, right? And that's what happens when you have a name. When you have a good name, it bursts like an odor. You see? When you have a bad name, it do the same thing too, but it's a bad smell. Right? That's like when they see you smell a rat. You can always smell a rat, right? You know there's a rat somewhere. You smell it. Smell the whole place. Right? It's a bad smell. That's the same thing that when you have a bad name. When you have a good name, it's just like the precious ointment. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, men might praise you and men might put you up on a pedestal, but the question is that, where is God going to put you? Where is God going to put you? And what will you give in return? Right? Because to every one of us, in Matthew chapter 25, it tells us that something was given to every man. Right? And without talking about it and a matter of discussing the parable of the talents, the thing is saying that something was given to every one of us. Right? Something was given to every one of us. I guess I should put this on. And what shall we answer? Right? In the last day when the Lord shall come. Are we going to show up empty-handed and the Lord asking you like, where you have nothing to show? What's going on? Right? You're going to say, well, I have some excuse, right? The Bible tells you that there was one man who showed up with nothing. Right? He had nothing to give the Lord. Nothing to give him. And he was actually adamant, saying that God didn't deserve anything. So I said, you don't deserve anything. Why should I give you anything? Right? And the Lord said, well, but there were others who had something to give him. They gave him. And they figured that if God had given them something, then they should have something to give in return. Isn't that love? Isn't that love? Right? Why do we love? We love because we get that from God. Okay? And everybody loves. I mean, animals love, right? We know pet love, right? They love, and they know when they're loved. When you beat them and kick them, you see that they squirm. Right? It's like a child, right? The cower, right? So the love thing. I went to the nursing home one time and the man was telling about the horse, and he said that when you ride the horse, you have to pet the horse, you know? Pet the horse wants some rubbing down, make sure that you appreciate the ride you get on the horse, okay? Otherwise, start to get upset, okay? So I'm telling you, you have dolphins, people go and watch them, they say the dolphin want to see them show some appreciation, otherwise they might want to splash them up and wet them up, okay? But I'm just saying to you that if you show love to somebody, you expect a person to show love to you. It's not a matter of that you are being, have a chip on your shoulder, showing off, or egoistic or something. It's just reasonable, right? I was kind to you. I don't expect you to be mean and nasty to me. I'm going to be stunned. I'm going to say, well, what did I do? Why is so mean and nasty to me? Okay? And there are some people, no matter what God does for them, they're mean and nasty to Him. Right now in this life. And they're planning up all manner of arguments and things they're going to tell Him. So they say, well, some of them say, if this thing really happened, if God would dare to call them up and question them and be asking them like, what have you done? So and so. They have a lot of words in their mouth, you know. Whole heap of chat. They have chat in their mouth, you know. You know what I'm saying to you? They have chat in their mouth, man. The Bible tells you that. Matthew chapter 17, it talks about, when you come and they say to the Lord, you know, we have done so and so, we have done so and so. Some of them are telling him that, well, you live in our street. We have done so and we have this and that. You know, they're not going to accept God's judgment just like that. They have a lot of talk in their mouth. They have things to say. Right? But the Bible tells you that the men who appreciated what God gave them, they worked on it, and so they were able to give Him something in return. The one who didn't appreciate it, which you see the way how Jesus talked about it, it sounds like the majority appreciated it, and the minority didn't appreciate it, because He talked about one servant getting 5, one getting 2, and 1, and he speak about the first 2 as if, you know, but that's not how it is in the world, because most of the people don't appreciate what God's given them. Okay? And another problem is this, that God showed me last year. When I did the study about Samson, and God is speaking to me about it even until this very day. And he said to me that I gave Samson a gift. And Samson started to manifest the gift. But then he used it in his own direction. He took it where he wanted to go. And left me out of the picture. You see? So he was strong and he could fight the Philistines, but he wasn't doing it the way God wanted him to do it. So the Philistines were left there. Eventually, they killed him, and he was dead, and the Philistines were still there, left as a thorn in the side of Israel, as a problem for them. So they came down to King Saul, who was a failure again, until came David, the man after God's own heart. But Samson had failed in his purpose. He had a gift, yes. So I'm telling you, it's one thing to have the gift, but don't use it to please yourself. You know, you have some people who, they're very good singers at the church, but you would ask them to sing, and they say, no, I don't feel like singing. You know, I don't want to sing today. Okay? And then when they're ready to sing now, they will go and they're going to sing. And they expect that they're going to get all the, you know, all the applause and whatever and so forth, because they're gifted. And the same thing is with music. There are people who they can play their music at church, but when it's time for them to play, they're doing something else. They come whenever they feel, and they're gone whenever they feel. So they have a gift, but they use it to please themselves. You see? They use it to please themselves. So at the end of the day, what is going to be the result? What is going to be the result at the end of the day? They expect that God is going to give them a full reward. Right? Because if they're 5 days in a week, and you only work 1 day, unless you have vacation or something to go in there, then you're going to get paid for 1 day, right? If they're 20 days in the week you're supposed to work, right? Say, what is it? 5 days a week, 4, and you only work 1 week, you're going to get paid for 1 week, unless you have vacation to make up for it. Vacation time or sick time or something. Is that how it works? So you say, well, you have the gift, but you're using it to please your own self. So when God is ready for you, He can't say, well, call you at a moment's notice and say, well, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. You say, I don't feel like doing it, I don't want to do that. Alright? So at the end of the day, what kind of reward are you going to get? You see, so notice the Bible is saying that the man who was conscious, the servant of God who was conscious, was thinking of doubling up on what he got. Now the person who is not conscious now is thinking of, in other words, say, well, if you say one person is thinking of going above what he got, then another person is, you understand? Underperforming. He got it up here, but it's underperforming. Another person is trying to rise up above. Another person is going down. and at the end of the day had nothing to show, right? There are people today in a very same position, and I'm determined by the grace of God that should never happen to me, okay? When the Lord came here, He showed us the example of how we should live, what we should do. Is that what He did? That's what He did, right? And He showed us, the Bible says, He shall see of the travail of His soul and shall be satisfied. So those disciples He left here, they were working. And so they worked. And so the gospel went on and it went on and it went on and it went on. And so it went on. And the devil tried to destroy all the children of God during the dark ages. Okay? That the truth should be banished. In these Bibles, they never had these things. Right? They were being killed, burned if they were found reading scriptures. Right? People used to do a lot of teaching one from the other. But they passed on the word. Passed it down by word of mouth. But I'm saying, you're looking forward to the coming of the Lord when you'll have to give account to Him. So the question is that, what shall I give in return? Right? As I said last week, some people are so busy, they don't have time for their family. So what are you going to tell the Lord? And I mean, I was busy making X amount of money. You know, they call me to do overtime and I have so and so. Okay. Alright, so you're going to give him the overtime money? You're going to give him this extra money or whatever? What are you going to give him? Right? What are you going to return to the Lord? What are you going to return to Him? It is evident that God is not interested in your money. He's not interested in your, whatever it is, your estate. Because in truth and in fact, all these things belong to God, but He's not interested in them. There's nothing I have around me that God is interested in. He doesn't want my piano. He doesn't want my bass. Can I impress Him and say, oh, you know, it's a nice bass player, he plays good. Watch this. Really? Oh, it's a nice piano. You know, he plays nice. Watch this. Really? That's so. You know, yeah, I give you my car, I give you so and so. Really? As I said before, these flimsy things which we have here, we make a big deal over. Angels are around us every day looking at these things as, you know, like despicable things. You know what I'm saying? So do you think that God is, as I said, that He's going to make you as an angel? You think an angel wants a Bentley? Or a Tesla? Or a rocket? Or a drone? What was the angels doing with that? For what? What are the angels doing with that? For what? What is He doing with that? Those things that are just flimsy, ridiculous things the angel looking at. You know? For what? What's He doing with it? Okay? Does He need your rocket to move from point A to point B? Right? Angels would go from heaven to earth and all over the universe. Do they need those things? No. For what? So the same way I'm saying with, so how much more God? What are you going to impress Him with? What are you going to impress Him with? With what? So what are you going to return? What are you going to give Him back? Right? Now you notice the Bible said that for whatever gift God has given you, right, He wants you to work on it that it can bring forth something for His kingdom. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I play music for God's glory. Right? I could have been playing music for the world, which of course really don't help you. Because all you do is you play music for this artist and he gets the credit. You don't hear about you